Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, it's the 30th of May, we'll be into June soon, British summertime. Fairly typical day outside today, blowing a gale, rain's blowing sideways, quite cold, about 15 degrees, McCarty's back on, feet are freezing. And I think many people's thoughts are turning to their summer holidays in warmer places. And that's what got me thinking about today's project. So I'm going to be using some of my lovely scraps from the Bazaar scrap bundles again today, but you could do this idea with any fabric scraps you've got. And that is to make some little luggage tags. So I'm not talking about luggage tags with your address and everything on. In fact, these days they tell you that's not really such a good idea. I'm talking about a nice, bright, colourful label that you can attach securely to your luggage, and that will help you to identify it quickly when it comes off the coach or around the carousel or wherever it might be. And there's 5,000 other suitcases that all look like yours. None of them are going to have a luggage tag like this. We could have a go at putting initials on. You could make them so that they open and they're more fancy, and you could put addresses and things inside, but as I say, it's not considered to be such a good idea these days. And you could also make these tags as a little gift tag to tie on a gift or whatever. But given this time of year and given the dreary weather we've got out here, I'm thinking summer holidays. Not that I'm going to. My big adventure this year is going to be going down to Sussex to the Bazaar summer garden party. I am looking forward to it more than I can. More than I can tell you. Very, very excited. If anybody else is going, if anybody is watching is going to the summer garden party, I'm going to be there on Saturday the 17th for the Bangor night. So if anybody else is going to be there for that, give me a shout. I won't recognise you, but you'll recognise me, so come and say hello if you do. Somebody did say, am I visiting or exhibiting? Definitely just visiting. I haven't got anything to exhibit. So yeah, very excited about that. Anyway, enough waffle. Let's go to the desk and have a look at what I'm going to be playing with today. So these are the kind of pieces that I thought would be nice to use. You get these little fancy bits, and I just thought half of that is big enough to make a luggage tag. I don't even need to use the whole thing. I think half of that is big enough. So I'll put something, I thought this one would work nicely on the back for that. I love these pieces, absolutely love these pieces. I love that colour with it. I think I can make 2 tags out of that. They don't even need to be tag shaped really, do they? It's just something you can tie onto your luggage that'll work. And for each one I'm going to need a front and a back. I think what I'm going to do with mine is just insert, I've got lots of ribbons that come out of scrap packs as well, just insert, I'll find one that matches better than this does, a piece of ribbon between the layers, and quite a good length of it so that it can be tied securely onto the luggage. Just keep it simple. Definitely could make eyelets and put lobster claws through, or do a little flip over with a button. I definitely will put some fancy buttons and beads and things on as well. Could embroider on them. I could put initials on the back of some of them. There's all sorts of different ideas for this. This is another little fancy piece, and it was I always put all of my scrap packs through a delicates wash, and this is one of the very, very few pieces, the only piece off the top of my head that I can think of that came to any harm. This came a little bit adrift in the wash. I just throw them all back inside the sari bag that they come in and put them through a delicates wash, and everything else, even these fancy pieces, the silks, everything has been fine. This one came adrift a little bit, but I still think I can use it, and I can do some fancy slow stitching over this to just keep all of that secure and tidy it up a bit. I think that's going to look lovely. I can pick out some of the colours, like this colour, and use that colour of thread to do some stitching, so I think that would be lovely. And these colours will go nicely for the back. Like, as I say, I could applique an initial on there. Be quite fun, especially if it's as a gift. I love this piece. So I think I've already cut a piece of this and used it, and this was left over. And these small pieces, you think, well, what am I going to do with them? You can make little needlebooks and things like that. But I thought it's perfect for this. In fact, I could even make, I could do this one with an eyelet and make that the hole, couldn't I? That'd be quite fun. Oh look, it just wants to do that, doesn't it? I'm thinking now, yeah, I might even do that. That's the thing with these pieces, you kind of have an idea in your head of what you want to do, but then you work with the pieces that you've got. So yeah, I might do that and make an eyelet through for that one. I love the idea of using that. And I've got purple for the back to pick up that purple. And this is another piece I love. You can see this has had a previous life. It's got markings on it and stuff. And this lovely piece, I don't want to use too much of it because I've got other ideas for this, but I just thought it went so perfectly with this. And I'm kind of thinking I might even try one just that would open up so that you could put details inside if you want to, so I might do that with this one. So I've got a few different ideas for these luggage tags, some a bit more straightforward than others. I'll sketch ahead a little bit now, and what I've done is go through all of those pieces that I had and put them into little kind of mini kits, one for each little luggage tag that I'm going to make. And I've pulled out coordinating threads as well. I still will need buttons and beads to go with them, but I've found ribbons and cords and things. These all came in the scrap packs as well. I think the only thing I've pulled in from my other stash is some felt here and here, obviously the threads, and these scraps of ribbon. And I'm going to try putting them together in various ways. Yeah, 3 or 4 different ways of putting them together. I won't kind of show the entire process for each one because we'd be here for hours, but I'll show enough so that if you fancied having a go at some of these, it'll be a good starting point. And I think you could just, there's so many different ways you could go with it. It's just giving the idea really. Okay, so I'm going to do this one the most simple way of all. I've actually already got these clipped together. And I've just got the 2 layers of fabric with just a folded piece of this ribbon sandwiched in between. I'll put some extra stitches here to make sure that stays really secure. That will be covered up by a fancy button afterwards. I might even put a button on both. I've got lots of buttons, lovely buttons. And then I'll just blanket stitch around the outside. So they're going to be the simplest of all. So let's start with them. I think I'll use 2 strands of stranded cotton all the way through. I'm just going to start my stitching here, lose the thread in between the layers. And the first thing I want to do is really secure this this piece of ribbon because we don't want that coming adrift. So I'm just going to put a few stitches in here, and as I say, these stitches will be covered by the addition of a button when I'm done, which will further help to secure all this together. And now I think what I'll do is just run a line of running stitch just all around the edge first, so I can get rid of these clips because they're going to annoy me. Just make sure that everything stays together nicely while I'm working on my blanket stitch. And I'm just going to use this one colour for this one, but I could definitely pick out any of the other colours that are in the pattern. I could use a metallic, it would be nice. I just don't like using metallic thread. I love the look of it, so it's nice to have it on here, but I don't like actually working with it. Okay, I'm going to carry on doing my running stitch all the way around here, and I'll be back in a mo. Okay, so I've just done a quick straight stitch all the way around. You can see it a little bit better on that side, and pulled out a couple of buttons, and now I'm going to do my blanket stitch around, but I've decided I think I fancy rounding the corners off, so I'm just going to sort of do that by eye. You could also make it like a, more like gift tag shaped, like angle it that way. And I think each one's going to be really different depending on what scraps I'm using, really, to be honest. I might just leave it rounded at the top like that, but squared off at the bottom. Quite cute. I think these are going to be a lovely way to use these little beautiful, beautiful scraps of embroidery. What's going to go in here, my knot will get, my knot on my end will get covered by the stitching a bit further down. And I'm just going to do a straightforward blanket stitch around the edge. Do them reasonably close together, I think. I think this stuff will be right because it's that almost kind of papery texture, but this will fray away if I don't make my stitches pretty close together. So yeah, I'm doing them fairly close together, like that. And it's a bit, you know, it's a bit rough and ready, but I find that charming. I like the look of that, but you could definitely do a much neater version if you felt inclined. I think I'll find these curved edges a little bit more straightforward to go around with the blanket stitch. So I'm going to work my way around this whole piece and then stitch the button on the front. Weave my end in under the stitching when I come back round again. You can see how it's going to look. So it's quite, you know, it's rustic, but I like that. You could definitely, if you wanted to, you could put the two layers of fabric face to face, right sides together, cut it a bit bigger to allow a seam allowance, leave a little gap, turn it inside out, clip the corners, you know, and you would have totally tidy edges then. But I always quite like the frayed look and the rough and ready look. Well, not rough and ready, that's a bit unfair, but you know, I like the rustic look myself. Okay, so I'm going to carry on working around this and stitch my button on and then do its matching partner. So, and then I'll come back and show you some of the other ideas I've got for these, you know, slightly more complicated ideas. So here we go, I have finished stitching around these now. I went all the way around this one with just the two strands quite close together, blanket stitch, and then I did this one with the thicker, with all 6 strands of my stranded cotton, and decided I like the look of that better. I just think it's more definite, makes more of a, I don't know, it just looks more fun. So then I went over this one and picked up the orange instead, and I've put vintage buttons on both of them. I've got such an amazing collection of beautiful buttons, it's really nice to find an excuse to use them. So that's those two. That's probably the simplest one. I've just put the loop of ribbon at the top. This one I've put a ring through, and you could use like a lobster clip or whatever to clip it onto your luggage, or you could just tie a piece of ribbon through or string and tie it on. I get a little bit fancy with this one. So here I've got another one of these beautiful embroidered patchwork pieces you get in the bazaar packs. I love it, just love that. And you could definitely, it'd be really nice to use like for the front of a needle book or something like that. And I will definitely be doing some of those as well, but yeah, it's going to be perfect for this too. So I've picked out this purple piece, again from the scrap packs, to back it with. And what I'm thinking is you could like embroider an initial on there or write a name. I'm thinking I might just keep it simple on this one and just put, because this green also coordinates with the, you know, I've got green in there. I'm thinking I might just put this circular felt I happen to have, I had cut it for something else. I might just put this on here, just whether I put it centrally or just off to one side. I'm going to do this and then do some just straight stitching all around it, and I'm going to do that before I sandwich the two together, because in this case I don't want straight stitching all over this, because I want to show this off just as it is. I've picked out 2 coordinating threads that pick up the colours in the embroidered piece. So because we've got purple and green, let's go for some of this light kind of aqua colour first. And I'm going to go back to just the 2 strands for this, but I am quite liking the look of all 6 strands for the blanket stitching around the outside. Just have this off centre, I think. Quite like the look of that. Well, I'm just going to do a really simple small running stitch to start with. But you definitely could go nuts and use all kinds of stitches on here, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, definitely would be fun to put an initial on this. I'm going to do an initial on one of the others, and maybe just an embroidered name on another one, just to see how that looks. Be a fun little bon voyage gift for somebody, wouldn't it? And I think I might use one of the other colours in a minute and just do perhaps some radiating lines or something. I don't know, or maybe a bit of blanket stitch around the outside, or just an over stitch. But I'm going to use the rest of this thread that I've got in the needle to just do another line of running stitch around the circle. So I've got so much of these I want to include in this video. I'm not going to sit here and do all of the stitching with you, because I don't think you want to watch me stitching for hours. So I'm going to carry on stitching around this, and I'll come back. I'm not going to do anything fancy. It won't be anything more complicated than chain stitch, blanket stitch and running stitch. I just want to keep this really simple. So I'm going to carry on and do this, and I'll be back in a mo. Right, I've done some just really simple embroidery on there and stitched a little button on, and now you can see I've cut this piece because it's quite sort of, you know, it's going to tend to fray at the edges, sort of fabric. I've cut it bigger than the embroidered piece so that I can turn under a tiny hem before I do the blanket stitching. So it's not a double hem or anything, I'm just turning it over once like that, pressing it down a little bit, just finger pressing it, and I'm just gonna run a line of straight stitches all around the edge first, just to turn that edge under. Then I'll be doing the blanket stitch over the top in a contrasting colour, probably the yellow, so you won't see these running stitches. But I think I just make it a little bit more durable so it doesn't fray away at the edges in time. Didn't need to do it with this one because it's quite a solid cut edge. So I'm just going to do just a small little running stitch like that all the way around. Put the two together, sandwich my piece of ribbon in between. This time I'm going to do another way of fastening it. I'm going to attach quite a long length of ribbon. Just fold it in half like that. Put that quite a long way down. There we go. And I'll sandwich that in between as I join the two together. And again, probably put a button there, or just a few extra stitches. I'll see. I don't know if I want to put a button on this one, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to carry on going all the way around here, and then I'll be back in. There we go. I've turned that little hem in underneath all the way round, and I've just straight stitched the two pieces together. You can see I've just done little stitches there. Those won't really show once I've done the blanket stitching over the top. Sandwich the piece of yellow ribbon in between, and now I'm just gonna do a chunky blanket stitch, and this time I've got all 6 strands of cotton. So I've decided on the yellow to match the ribbon and pick up this, and I've got some yellow in there as well. Don't know which side I like best now. I'm just going to work my way around the whole edge doing this blanket stitch. I don't think I'm going to round off the edges this time. I'm going to leave it straight, I think. I don't know though, I'm having second thoughts now. It's kind of easier to blanket stitch around a curved edge, so for that reason let's curve it. And you could definitely also add bits of fringing on the bottom, or tassels or bells, or think if they're going to be used as luggage tags, you just need to make sure that everything's really securely stitched on. But other than that, right, so I'm going to work my way around. Finish blanket stitching all around the edge of this one, and then I'll be back. There we go, that's that one finished. I went all the way around with my blanket stitch, and the ribbon is all securely trapped in between. I added another one of the vintage buttons on top. Of course, stitching that through added some extra sort of security to that ribbon. So now I can just either tie it onto a gift or around the handle of a suitcase or whatever, or just tie it onto a craft bag or something just for pretties. There's enough length of ribbon there to tie it on really securely. And actually what would be quite fun is to put some little beads on the end of that as well. What little beads have I got here? Go. It's cute. I quite like that both ways round. Not sure which way I like best. Okay, so that's those done. I'm going to make this one deliberately quite sort of raggedy looking. I like the look of these, of the frayed edges of the sari ribbon. That's not enough to tie, so I'll have to make this into a loop, I think. And what I'm thinking is I can just, because it's 2 layers, kind of thing you sometimes get with these scrap packs, different types of fabrics layered together. And I'm thinking I'm just going to leave this quite raggedy around the edge. I don't know if I want to leave that on there because I like the idea of including a bit of this. So I'm thinking I might cut this off and put some of this in instead. Could do some stitching on that as well to make it a bit more secure, a bit stronger, because it has got that fray bit there. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do some just lines of straight stitching over this, and then I'm going to loop it over and sandwich it between these 2 layers like that. And then this pom-pom trim, which I love, can be sandwiched between those 2 layers like that. So I just got a little cute edging. I've got these buttons, one on each side. I've picked up pink and orange threads, so I'll just do lots of straight stitching. I'll do this one layer of stitching around the outside to hold this in, and the ribbon. And then I'll do straight stitching up and down here along with these lines. I think that would be quite cute and quite quick and easy to do. And I'm just going to leave this frayed edge because I quite like the look of it. In fact, probably what I should do is deliberately fray these other edges as well. I don't want this bit too frayed though, because I want to put this in between first. So I'm going to do some pink on this. If I do that orange, it's not even going to show, is it? So let's do some pink. Right, so let's start here. This bit will be tucked inside between the layers anyway, so you won't see the knot. And this is more or less just decorative stitching, but it's also going to strengthen this fabric a little bit because it is just silk and it is a little bit torn there. But if I do lots of lines of straight stitching, 1, I enjoy doing it, 2, I like the look of it, 3, it will strengthen it. I'm not going to be too careful, it's just going to be, whoops, lines and lines of stitching like that. Frayed edges I'm not even going to worry about. I'll carry on and do that and I'll be back with the next step. Right, I've finished doing some stitching on here and I've done a few stitches to hold this piece on. And now I've just turned up a rough hem there. It's not particularly straight, I don't care. I want this one to look kind of wonky on purpose. And I've just finger pressed a little narrow hem under on that piece as well. The rest of it I'm going to leave all frayed, but this bit I want the pom-pom trim on there, so I've just turned them under to neaten it all up. And now I'm going to sandwich that pom-pom trim between the two layers. Just do some straight stitches along that bottom edge to attach it all together. And I will probably go round again with another round of straight stitching as well. Yeah, so this one's just going to be straight stitched all around with some extra stitching back and forth across here, which of course will show up nicely on there. I'll use the orange and the pink, and then I've got this orange button which I can't decide at the moment if it goes on that side or do I put it on that side. Not sure. I'll wait and decide about that later. The red is my camera does read things to red. It's a much nicer red. It's more of a cherry red than that. It always makes it look fire engine red on camera. Okay, back in a mo. There we go. I finished doing just some straight stitching up and down this. Added a couple of buttons. That's a really pretty pink button. It looks white there. Oh, that's better. So I would just put a piece of cord or ribbon or whatever through that to tie it, or a key ring, or however I wanted to attach it. I'm going to do this one next, and because this is a little bit fragile, I've cut this piece of backing fabric, and the first thing I'm going to do is just straight stitch this down all around the edges, and then use probably 6 strands altogether to do some stitches across here. Anywhere where I think there's a bit of a weak point, I think that could go there, and just, you know, do some kind of very much visible mending on this piece. Possibly even do some just lots of straight stitching across here just to strengthen everything, but I don't want to stitch across it too much because I love the look of it as it is. So I'm going to do all of that, and then this will be the backing piece. But this backing piece, I'm going to try embroidering a name on it first. I just do it in, or just a couple of initials. So let's say I was going to do my own initials. AC. So I'll probably do that in just a chain stitch, but in this contrasting colour, which kind of coordinates with that. I'm going to first stitch all of this down to strengthen it a little bit, and then I'll come back and do a bit of the decorative stitching with you. I'm just trying, I've got so many ideas I want to cover in this, I haven't got time to do. If I do all the stitching, it's just, this is going to be an everlasting video. Now I need to just do that little bit of embroidery on this layer of fabric before I put the two together, because I don't want it coming through to the other side, we'll see. So I'm going to use all 6 strands here of this stranded cotton. I think I'll just do a chain stitch, or shall I do a now let's do a whipped back stitch. So I'm going to do a Christine style back stitch. Just going to work my way all the way around both these letters, and then I'm going to go back and whip the stitch, i.e. wrap a thread around each of the stitches I've already made, just to sort of define the line and oh, messed that up, just sort of to give a bit more definition to the line, make it stand out a bit better. Pretty quick and easy to do. To whip the stitch, I'm just going to bring my thread out there, I'm going to use the back end of the needle, the blunt end of the needle, so I don't catch the thread or the fabric as I go through, and I'm going to go back through the stitches I made to whip them, wrap the thread around them. I'm going back in from the same side every time, bringing it over and then going under from the right. So you get this sort of slightly raised, sort of twisted effect. And it does, it kind of smooths out the line and gives it a bit more definition, makes it stand a bit sort of proud of the surface. I could just as well have done a chain stitch, or a whipped chain stitch, or any other stitch I fancied doing. Okay, so that's made it a lot nicer, more definite line. You can see there. Right. So I'm going to do the same thing with the letter A, and then I'm going to put these. No, I've still got to do. I want to do some over stitching here. I've found that now that I've turned with this piece, what I've done is first stitched it onto that backing piece, then I've turned the edges under because it's quite a bit bigger than this backing piece anyway. And I've lost most of the bit that was particularly fragile there, but I think just for the look of it I might just run some big stitches across here just to add a bit of interest anyway in this colour, which picks up that lovely section of the fabric there. So yeah, I think I'll do that just for a bit of detail, and then I'll blanket stitch the two together. Oh, and I want to create a little loop, so a bit like the one I did here, but instead of using a piece of ribbon I'm going to use a piece of this fabric, wrap it around like that to create a kind of a tube, and then run some lines of straight stitching along it to create a little kind of strap, and then that will go in between these two layers like that. So I'm going to do all of that and I'll be back in a mo. Okay, I've just been chattering away to myself for 5 minutes. Forgot to press record. Oh. So it's getting a bit late now. I think I'm going to stop recording now and finish the rest of this little project downstairs and come back and show you how the whole little collection looks in the end. I finished doing this one, finished going around the outside, put this beautiful button on. Did some just decorative stitching over there, partly decorative, partly functional, because it just strengthens that little bit there. I was a little bit concerned about some more over stitching here and here, just for fun really. Made the tab bit by folding the strip of fabric over and just straight stitching it. Did the embroidery you saw on a flat button on the back. So that's that one done, and then the last two, a little bit more complicated, and I think I'm just going to do them off camera and come back and show you in the morning, because basically all I've done is 7 tags and it's too much to squeeze into one video without it getting ridiculously long. So I thought I'll just explain to you what I'm going to do and then I'll come back and show you how they worked out. So with this one, I love this piece of fabric. I'm going to back it with this. I'm not going to turn the edge under this time, I'm just going to leave it like a border. I think that might look quite cute. On the back I've got this is folded in half, this is double thickness. I'm going to put this piece on the back and do like a long buttonhole there. So this in effect will be a little pocket into which you could slip a little piece of card with just your name showing through the buttonhole, and you could put your mobile number or something on the back if you wanted to, just in case you lost your luggage or whatever. And I think for this one the attachment, I'll make a little eyelet for this one. It might even be at one corner for a change, you know, like a Christmas gift tag kind of idea. And then I've got this yellow that picks up the yellow stripe in that fabric. I'm going to cut an A out of that, A for Annie. Or maybe I'll just go for cutting a basic shape out of circle or something like that, just something for a little pop of colour really. So I'll take that downstairs and I'll come back and show you in the morning how that turned out. I did find this beautiful bright button, but I don't think I'm going to have any room to put a button on this one. I think those will do for that. Might just want some red, so we'll take that as well. And then with this one, so this is where I've got this little strange little piece. It just so happens that it's got these two little flowers, which I thought would make perfect eyelets, and it's got this kind of natural fold line here. So I'm going to fold that over, and so it would be like a square tag, and the thread to attach it to the bag or whatever will go through here. And then I've got this piece of green fabric that I thought goes nicely with it. It's much prettier than it. There we go. That's more of a true colour of it. It's a lovely fabric actually. I'm going to use this to create a kind of a pocket which will attach to this piece. There we go. So I'll put a little snip here and snip there and turn the ends inside so that you end up with a pocket. This will fold over. It'll have to be an eyelet. I'll have to make an eyelet here. Fold this over, and then the cord that I'm going to use, well, that's the cord that goes with that one. I think I'll use this ribbon for this one. That was the idea. We'll go through all three. Go through this eyelet, through there, and through there. And that will tie it all together. But if you open it up, there would be a little pocket inside where you could put contact information if you wanted to. So that's my plan for that. It's working in my head. Hopefully it'll work out in real life. So I'm going to finish those off tonight in front of the telly and come back in the morning and show you how they would turned out and have a look at my whole little collection of tags. I've been really enjoying doing this. I think it's a really cute way to use these little fancy pieces of embroidery and things. Yeah, they're a motley. They certainly don't all go together. But they're all equally colourful and fun, I think, and definitely unique. You would definitely spot your suitcase from a distance with these on, I reckon. Okay, so I'm going to go off and do that now, and I will see you in the morning. It's the next morning. I'm all finished. Let's have a look through. Start with the ones I did first. This little, it's quite nice to have the matching pair, I think, which you could either tie a ribbon through or put a ring on and use a lobster clasp or whatever, key ring. Which is the next one? I can't remember which one I did next. Never mind, don't matter. What's this one? I think this is possibly my favourite. I just love the colours of it. I love the frayed edges and everything. I really like that. Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, it's probably this one. What was this one? It's been really nice having an excuse to use some of these beautiful buttons. Got my initials on that one. What did I do next? Was it this one? I can't remember. Beads on the end of this one, a nice long ribbon to tie it on with. Still can't decide which side I like best. I think I like both sides. Bit of a mess up here. I might do something about that. Or I might not, being me. Love it. It's just such a nice way to showcase some of these beautiful little embroidery pieces. So many beautiful details in this. And I love that these pieces are all made of reclaimed fabrics originally, and now we're reclaiming them again. So I mean, that looks like an old t-shirt, that fabric there. And some of the pieces of embroidery are probably quite old. As I say, they're all obviously reclaimed in the first place, and then they've patched them together, and where the joins are, they've couched down these bundles of cotton threads. So, oh, these lovely. I just love these pieces. I do quite like it, just a lot of straight stitching like that as well. So yeah, all the ribbons and everything, except for these two pieces. All the ribbons came from the scrap packs as well. So I did this one off camera. I just stitched those two pieces together, put a overstitched a little yellow felt heart on, and I've stitched this down really securely. That cross is more of a decorative element than anything to cover the actual stitching that I did to make sure this stays in place. And then on the back, this one's a bit fancier, used another little vintage button, done some more just stitching to pretty it up, and I created this little pocket with a big kind of rectangular buttonhole in it, really, like a giant buttonhole. So you can see I've done buttonhole stitch all around the edges, and then a chain stitch to sort of accentuate that and to be fair, tidy it up a little bit. And then I've left it open here. So I've put this piece of felt in. This is loose at the moment. It just will stay in there because felt will cling. But I could embroider a name there, and I could also put a little slip in there with a mobile phone number or something if I wanted, just in case I lost my bag and wanted someone to be able to find me. But as I say, they do warn you about that kind of thing these days. I guess just putting your mobile phone probably be really reasonably safe. But so I think that's a really cute idea as well. And it doesn't have to be just for luggage. You know, it would be really quite sweet to have something like that on your craft bag or just on your handbag or whatever. I really like that, if I do say so myself. And then the last one I've just finished is this one, which was kind of inspired by the strange shape of the little piece that I had to use. And again, one of these lovely pieces of embroidery, lovely bright colours. What I did was, I open this up, I created a little pocket with some of this green fabric. All of it came from the scrap packs, the Bazaar scrap packs again. Done a lot of straight stitching in the colours on the embroidered piece. And then I made little eyelets, one here, one here. I had to make the eyelet 3 times because this piece was folded over, so I had to make the eyelet on the inside as well. So you can see one eyelet on the inside there, then this eyelet, and then this eyelet, and they all line up with these 2 flowers that were in that piece of embroidery. And I just used some of the bright green, this stranded cotton, all 6 strands. So I snipped through the centre of that flower and then used these stitches to just kind of reinforce the edges and hold the hole open so that I could get my ribbon through. So the idea is, I mean, you could just hang it like a tag like that. It still would be a distinctive tag to identify your luggage. But you could also, you know, if you tied it to a handbag or whatever, you could put your key in there, or actually, if you made it a bit bigger, you could put your bus ticket in there, couldn't you? Or use it as a tiny coin purse, or just, again, an identifying a phone number or something in case you did put it on your luggage and it got lost. People could then find you. I just put this little piece of ribbon through and I would tie it onto my luggage by that. So yeah, so that's my little collection of bag tags. I'm going to call them bag tags. Really happy with them, really happy with them. I had a lot of fun making them. They're easy peasy. I made all 6. I started yesterday afternoon and I've just finished this morning, so yeah, reasonably quick to make. And I think it would be quite a fun thing to attach to gifts for friends that they could then go on and use like as tags on their bags. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed making them. I think it's an idea. It's just really giving you the idea. I didn't kind of show the whole process. It was really just giving you the idea of it. If you decide to have a go at making some of these yourselves, please do share some pictures in the Facebook group or the Discord community. As always, I'll put my link tree in the description box so you can find your way to both of those places. They're really fun places full of lovely creative people, and we always love to see what everybody's making. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you again really soon. Bye.